My topic for the individual junior documentary is Bishop Nicholas Ridley. While not being known by many, his actions tipped the scales of power throughout Europe. Bishop Ridley took a stand against the powerful, which resulted in him being martyred at the hands of Queen Mary. His stand changed the course of history and helped continue the English Reformation. His actions and ultimate death caused such outrage that sparked change and built the foundation for the current Anglican Church. He was a principled man of God, which ultimately caused the situation to happen in the first place. Nicholas Ridley was born in the year 1503 in South Tyndall, England. He was properly educated and one of the smartest people in his class. After finishing primary school, he then attended Pembroke College, Cambridge University, where he studied the Gospels of Christ. He received multiple degrees. In 1524, he received a fellowship at Pembroke and became a priest in 1531. Later, he went on to become a master of Pembroke in 1540. During his studies, there was a debate over the Pope's ultimate authority. Ridley, being a Bible scholar, decided to write his own opinion about the subject. These thoughts are captured in his famous debates with John Hooper he stated that the Bishop of Rome, also known as the Pope, had no more authority than any other bishop, and that the Pope was more interested in the glory of the papacy than it was in God. This is a controversial statement, to say at the least. Denying the power of the Pope is like denying the power of the King, and to most believers, the direct voice of God. Thomas Cranmer, the Archbishop of Canterbury, had views that aligned with Ridley and appointed Ridley to be the Champlain to the Archbishop in 1537. This meant that Ridley reported directly to the Archbishop. Archbishop Cranmer believed that all people should have the right to have a Bible in his or her own language. So Cranmer wrote the predecessor to the English Bible. In 1541, Ridley became one of the King's Champlains, and then there was a prebendal stall at Canterbury Cathedral. The king liked Ridley and listened to him, which allowed Ridley to sway or inform the king's decisions. Ridley, in 1543, was accused of heresy because of his statements about the Pope, but was found not guilty because of his level-headed arguments and his calm demeanor. In 1547, Ridley became the Bishop of Rochester, and in 1548, he helped Cranmer write the Book of Common Prayer. In 1550, he became the Bishop of London. He is the only person to ever hold the title of Bishop of London and the Bishop of Rochester. In 1553, Ridley pleaded to the king to build homes for the homeless, and the king complied. This is one of the many instances where he showed his love of the people and why he was well respected by the parishes he lives in. Over these years of study and leadership, Ridley came to believe that the church was not built on one person. He felt that Jesus was the Son of God, and that the Pope was trying to make himself as powerful as God. He felt that the church was made up of its people, and that the only thing to do as a servant of Jesus was to live by his principles. Over his many writings, he continued to attack the Bishop of Rome, and said that he had no more authority to God than any other bishop. He also felt that the church was using its power to control the people than help them. This stand is what changed the course of history for the Reformation and cost him his life. In 1553, King Edward VI died suddenly and created a break in the line of succession. Edward's last word and testament stated his successor should be Lady Jane Grey, his first cousin and granddaughter of Henry VII. Ridley supported this claim and declared her queen. He did so by stating what had already been stated by Parliament, that Mary and Elizabeth were the bastard children of Henry VIII and had no claim to the throne. Queen Grey's support weakened after 9 days, which allowed Mary I, Queen of Scots, also known as Bloody Mary, to ascend to the throne. One of her first actions was to imprison Ridley as a traitor to the new regime. Mary then set forth to earn her nickname by declaring England Catholic again and setting out to exact revenge on those who had helped attack the church. This set in motion her killing known as reformers and Protestants that opposed the Pope. Ridley was no exception. His statements on her birthright and the Pope put him high on her death list. She felt she had been publicly insulted, her lineage and her rights to be queen. In 1554, Nicholas Ridley was taken to the Tower of London and then later moved to Oxford and imprisoned in the Barricado. His trial was held in Oxford, which was hoped to discredit the entire reform movement, of which Ridley played a major role in. It was during his time of imprisonment that he wrote many letters that affirmed his beliefs in the Reformation and against the current practices of the Catholic Church. He also wrote a brief description of the Lord's Supper, which was written so that many people could read it. These documents and other letters were smuggled out of the prison and reprinted for others to read it in England after his execution. Later, they were printed by John Fox in Acts and Monuments. On October 16, 1555, Ridley, along with another reformist, Hugh Latimer, were burned at the stake in Oxford. While Latimer's death was quick, Ridley's was not. His brother-in-law made an error that caused Ridley's lower limbs to take longer to burn and made him suffer for some time. It had been written by Fox that Latimer is supposedly to have said to Ridley, "Be of good comfort and play the man, Master Ridley. We shall light this day in such a candle, by God's grace, in England, as I trust shall never be put out." This quote was also referenced in Fahrenheit 454 by Ray Bradbury. Later, they became known as the Oxford Maytars. A monument outside of Oxford University was made in their honor and stands today as a monument to the Maytars. Ridley did not do it for ego, money, or power. He did it because he felt it was right. There are many people in history that have done the same, but Ridley's name had been forgotten. He spoke for the humblest of us and spoke of how the church had been corrupted but powerful people. He defended the right of succession and felt that stating what Parliament had already stated, Mary and Elizabeth were both illegitimate, was the right thing to do. He wrote of how he felt in the proliferation of the Bible is the job of the church and not the control of the word that was being enforced by the Pope. He used many words, but not the sword, to deliver his beliefs, and many times he has been applauded for his calm demeanor in explaining the way he felt he did. I hope this documentary brings back his legacy and helps all see that he changed the world for the many.